I haven't come to do a solo book review in quite a while, so this one has to be special. Hola mi gente, MsMalcolmHughes here. Welcome back. Today I am coming to review the book Ajungo by Moses Osei Utomi. This book is actually about, we have a child named Tutu who lives in the city of lies, and all his life he only knows the situation between the city of lies, in which his people do not have water, and in order for them to get water, at the age of 13, everyone has their tongue cut out and sent to the Ajungo in exchange for enough water, not plenty, not an overabundance, but enough water in order to barely survive. He is days away from his 13th birthday, in which this will happen. So he's very nervous, anxious, on edge, but he's at school and he is informed that his mother is in a dire condition. He gets home, she's like laid out with the people around her. No one's really helping because that would require them exerting strength, and then they would need more water, which they do not have. And so his mother is essentially dying of thirst. He realizes that she needs water. They need more water. She won't make it until they can get enough water. There's barely enough to get them through today. And so he takes it upon himself. They say there are no heroes in the city of lies because back in the day, many young boys went out to try to discover water in the desert so that the city would no longer have this problem. They failed. And so it becomes the saying that there are no heroes in the city of lies. But he feels confident and he goes before the ruler and he's like, hey, I want to do what others have not been able to do. I want to go out and discover water for my mother and for us. The ruler says there are no heroes in the city of lies. And he says, there is one. There is one hero in the city of lies. And then we're off on the journey of Tutu trying to find water. And where the story goes from there, this book is short, y'all. 84 pages to be exact. But the journey that we went on was phenomenal. It goes without saying, because it's so small, it doesn't say much to say, I read this in a day. But I read this in a day. Less than a full day, obviously. But I read through it. I didn't want to put it down, so I didn't. When I got to the end, I cried. The journey that they went on, because he does not stay alone, he is joined by others. It was just amazing the way that it all came together, the way their stories, and we learn of the lies of the Ajungo, what the Ajungo have done to these different groups of individuals, the lies that have been perpetuated so that they can never save themselves or each other. Listen, I don't want to give all of it away, but the way it all comes together, there's so many different themes here. When I first started this book, I was thinking maybe this is symbolic of folks who leave home and push beyond the lies that they've been sold all their lives to find the water that they need to survive. So that's what I was going into it when I read the introduction. He was talking about his parents and the sacrifices they made. So I was like, okay, but there's so much here. Listen, just very early on, my mouth dropped, quite literally dropped, when they talk about mothers drinking the blood of their babies to fend off thirst, only to learn that it was no substitute for water. I knew I was in for a journey. I just did. And then I also say the symbolism here is deep, with the cutting out of the tongues and the people's inability to tell their own stories. The people old enough to remember the city's original name didn't have tongues, and the people young enough to speak because they have tongues had no knowledge of the history, completely cutting a people off from their heritage and their roots. I love stories that are fantasy or fiction that are so symbolic of real life. And that's just an easy one, right? In order to make a people ignorant and reliant upon you, you cut off their heritage. Their story begins with you, right? You think about us, Black Americans in America. It's like your story begins with enslavement. And so from that place, you begin from a position of subjugation. But if you go back further, you have such a more richer history than that. You can dream bigger because of that, right? And so that's what we have here. I want to tell y'all what they were doing to all of the other cities. I'll say this, every other city had to sacrifice a body part, and their body part was significant in cutting those people off at their knees and making them incapable of standing on their own and resisting. I don't have many, if any, frustrations with this book or dislikes of this book. At one point in time, I did have to remind myself that Tutu is 12 or 13 when it's occurring, because some of the decisions that he was making and just his innocence and trustworthiness, I was like, Tutu, no. You have to be able to read the energy and know who's for you and who's not. But he hasn't really honed those skills yet. He wants to believe and he wants to dream and he wants to trust. And because of that, journeys, pain, struggle, sacrifices are made that you're like, maybe that didn't need to happen. But everything occurs in the way in which it needs to. There was also a theme here of faith, like faith in what you believe, right? Tutu ends up inheriting this gift, this power. But in order for it to be at its highest potential, you have to believe. And I thought that was so important to just life in general, of the fact that unless you believe, nothing has power behind it. I think of that a lot with atheism. I'm not atheist, but in atheism, it's like gods only have power because humans give them power. They believe in it, so there's an energy there, right? That's what some people believe, or that's what's argued. It's like, did God create humans, or did humans create gods? And I love here, it's like, unless you believe it fully, whatever that is, unless you believe it, there's no energy or power behind it. And the more that you are certain, the more that you can stand in that power and weld it. I love the messaging of that. Also, again, just the damage that's done, so that these people in different cities cannot trust each other. They look at each other with disdain. They've all been told similar lies. It's the way that it unfolds. And once you like see the web that has been weaved, you're like, whoa. And in the end, it was really more of a question of, are there external forces that are subjugating you, or is that something that's happening internally? Listen, the way that this all came together, the way that I thought that there was going to be a part 2, the way that this was a standalone book by itself, there is a second book, I have it, but it's his own story that takes place 500 years after this. I said in my notes, in the end, I loved how it all came together. I might have shed one tear, loved it down. So glad book 2 is already on the way. So much happened in 84 pages. A full story, a full journey. If you're someone who loves a tale, right? I'm not even gonna say if you love fantasy. If you love a tale being webbed, if you love going on a journey, if you love a hero's arc, if you love starting in one place and going to another, if you love character driven, if you love philosophical depth and ideologies to ponder, if you love historical context, if you love connecting fiction to real life, yeah, this one. I love this damn. This is the best fantasy book I've read all year. It is. In 84 pages. I can't get over that. Everything that happened in this book in 84 pages, I can't get over. It should go without saying, but maybe it doesn't. On my scale of read now, read soon, read when you have time, or read if you want, I gave this a resounding read now. Read it now. I loved this book, y'all. Like, everything this author has written, I plan to read. I love when that happens for me. And I love when it happens for you. And because of that, I'm also doing a book giveaway of this book because I want more people to read it. And to enter is easy. Obviously, you have to be a subscriber to my channel. But what I want you to write in the comments is you have two options. Either what is the best fantasy book that you have read this year, or what is your favorite fantasy book or series of all time. That's it. Just that simple. You have all of November to enter. I will announce the winner when I do my December reads. So definitely share the video. Let other folks know it's happening. This is worth it though. So I loved it down. I want to make sure y'all can read it. I hope y'all love it down. So definitely enter the giveaway. That is it for me today, y'all. As always, I am MsMalcolmHughes, one who believes that books are sometimes better than people. And until the next one, please remember to give time, to be kind to each other, and to have the very best day of your life on purpose. Peace. Odabo. Adios. Ciao.